Welcome back to HairSmarter, the podcast from It's the Break Room, where we cut through the noise, get real about life behind the chair, and talk about things that hair school forgot to tell you about.
I'm Sarah Jane.
And I'm Sarah, and today's a little different. So we got such incredible feedback from our episode with Gretchen that we decided to share even more of that conversation.
Yeah, there was just too much good stuff to leave on the cutting room floor, so consider this the encore.
But first, I think we need to catch up a little bit. What's
Okay,
been going on?
can we talk about how I tried to meditate after our last episode with Gretchen and immediately started making a to-do list in my head?
I know. It's so hard to slow down, right? My brain was like, okay, breathe in, but also don't forget to put our product order in. And I need more razor blades and I need to get a comb because I broke one. And then also blah, 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 blah.
Well, we're works in progress, and that's why we have guests like her, right? Is to remind us that growth doesn't have to look perfect. It's like, not like this, it's not like this, it's like this.
It is. And it's
And we
so
just have to be
funny.
intentional.
Oh, God, she's so great. Exactly. Right. So I don't know. Let's dive back in and share the rest of our conversation with Gretchen because honestly, this part might be even better than the first.
You guys are going to love it.
I wanted to kind of ask you a little bit about that online community, right? Posting hair online, to be completely honest, can feel brutal, right? Like if the photo isn't perfect, if the lighting doesn't work well, are they in a good pose, whatever, right? So sometimes it feels like if the photo isn't perfect, it's not worth sharing, which unfortunately really takes a hit. Your business takes a hit for that. So how do you see perfectionism kind of showing up in those online spaces?
I think perfection in photos and videos is so boring.
I do too.
It's
I
just
do
not
too.
real.
Thank you for saying
It's
that.
just boring. It's just boring. It's the antithesis of creativity and realism. And I remember when I first started teaching yoga, maybe, well, it wasn't first, 3 years in, I was in Mexico teaching to a totally new community, totally different way of teaching yoga. And this woman came to my class, a tourist, and she revealed herself after class as being a yoga teacher of 30 years before it ever even got popular in the West. And I was like, wow, cool. Do you think you could come to my next class and maybe give me some feedback if you don't feel comfortable doing it today? And she said, I would love to, but I'm leaving. And all I have to say, Gretchen, is that anyone can teach a pose, just like anyone, maybe not anyone, but anyone can cut hair, right?
Right.
Like you can learn all of the skill and the tricks and the trade. But what keeps people coming back to you or what inspires people to spend time with you and see you and give you a shot is your light,
Yes.
is your personality, is your humanity. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
I've been following hairdressers online because I want to change my hair, and I've seen so many beautiful, sexy, gorgeous pictures. And quite honestly, it doesn't inspire me. It makes me feel further from my goal.
Mm.
The ones that I connect with are hairdressers who get on and just start talking about things that hairdressers don't normally talk about on social media,
Mm.
like saying no to a client after a consultation, like, you know what, I'm not the right person for you. Like
Yeah.
that takes mad bravery and
Yeah.
courage, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, sure, now I'm going to have 2 hours open on my books and I'm missing out on a lot of money, but I'm saving myself so much more time and energy because this lady just showed me a bunch of pictures that she didn't like, and they all happen to be pictures of my hair.
Oh.
Right. So I think it's so important to live and work authentically, to put out there what is yours, whether it's perfect or not, and just own it. And sometimes talk about that.
Yeah.
Right. Like, again, we're modeling for people how to be better clients, better hairstylists, better humans.
Yeah.
Because people can be amazing at what they can do, but can suck to be around. I saw that in New York all the time. Like we were surrounded by people at the top of their game, whether it was fashion or beauty, but you just felt awful after spending time with them.
Yes.
Right? Like Maya Angelou
True.
said, people won't remember what you say. People aren't going to remember your haircut or my therapy session, like some trick I gave them. They're going to remember how we made them feel.
So true.
And you can do that online,
Yeah.
right? When you're authentically yourself and you're sharing your mistakes as well as your wins.
Ah, I love it. I love that
Yeah.
so much. And you're so right. The minute you lean into being authentic, everything just slows down, but also like opens up, right?
Mhm.
It's so important. Let's move into talking about boundaries as self care. So, I think that both stylists and therapists hold space. I mean, that's a thing that we do.
Mm.
Can you tell us a little bit like where's the line between empathy and taking on too much?
Ugh.
If you have 5 hours.
Well, I like to decipher what empathy and compassion are because
Great.
they're different. So, empathy is feeling with somebody, like you have someone in your chair who just lost somebody. You feel empathy for them. You know how that must feel. Compassion would be you're going to take action, like it moves you further to better understand and do something to help and meet their needs.
Mm.
So, I think that's important, right? Like, we're as therapists, as hairstylists, we can hold space for people. But I'm not there to fix somebody else.
Mm.
I'm there to hold space, actively listen to them when appropriate, validate. I mean, we can always validate without crossing a boundary. We can just kind of repeat back what they said to us, right? I
Mhm.
heard you. I understand what you're saying. But it is really easy as hairstylists. I mean, you guys have a brutal job. You're on your feet all day doing these repetitive motions, feeling the stress in your joints and your body and your muscles. And then you have to listen to 4 to 10 different people just go on in your chair and you can't escape. It's like bartenders, they're stuck behind a bar and listening to the same person go on and on and on. So I think along with like your little daily check-ins, your mantras that you repeat, before and during work can go a long way. Like I'm not here to fix somebody. I'm here as their guide to help them understand their taste, their hair dreams,
Yeah.
their hair desires. I'm here to help them understand the reality of what their hair is, the texture, the possibility, what won't work for them.
Mm.
I'm their teacher, right? And then I need to make sure that I have a boundary that I enforce consistently with them, which is, I think one of you mentioned like this idea of like a glass plate or a glass wall when things start to go beyond a point of comfort for you, when you start to feel like, oh gosh, here we go, right? That's when you want to have a check-in, like take a deep breath and remind yourself, like, I don't need to take this on.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is their stuff, it's not mine.
Yeah.
And if it gets to the point where we really need to remove ourselves from the situation or the conversation, we can do so by redirecting. Like, gosh, that sounds so hard. That must be really stressful. What do you think about making this chair today your place to relax and to let that go? And let's just focus on hair.
Mm.
I think that what we're going to do today is going to make you feel so much better. And I want to take you there, but I just really want to dial in and see what they say. Some people get it, some might not. All you can do is all you can do, but maybe you make some notes. Next time, I need to make sure this person is scheduled at a certain time of day where I have more energetic capacity for them. Next time, I need this person to be sent a reminder of our policies of not oversharing, whatever you can do. And you might decide, if that client continues to dump on you all the time, you might just have a heart to heart with them. Say, I really value as a client, like your loyalty, you keep coming back to me is incredible. And what I have to say isn't going to be easy to hear, but I'm not trying to shame you and I have no judgment for you. I'm just struggling with figuring out a way to tell you that I don't know how to help you with your problems. And it makes me just feel a little uncomfortable because I'm here to do your hair. And I certainly am open to having conversation and getting to know you, but that just takes it across the line for me a little
Mm.
bit. What do you think we can do?
Wow.
Right? So,
Wow.
yeah, they're going to feel a little uncomfortable with it. But again, you're giving them the opportunity to have a conversation about it, making them feel like you care about what their experience is as well. And if they're the right client for you, they're going to stick with you. And that's going to take you closer. Right. When we
Mm.
have the ruptures and then we try to repair, it's like that trust that I can be vulnerable with this person. I can count on them to show up for me even when it's hard. And if not, then maybe that's someone you don't want to see anymore, right? As you get further along in your career, that's something you just learn. Like, not every client is for me, and I value my space and my time and my energy. And my other clients deserve some of that, not just this one.
Mm.
Yeah. That's really great advice. Practicing this stuff in the moment as opposed to ruminating like we talked about before, but also like how do you think we can manage not bringing all this stuff home? Because sometimes it's really hard after 8 or 10 clients, we absorb all of this stuff. How do we let it go before we get home and settle in with our family or our pets? And we're not sitting on the couch just like, oh,
It's hard. It's so hard sometimes, right? Again, this idea of consistency without criticism can come into play. So, consistently practicing a ritual at the end of your day. When I do Thai massage, I go in and I wash my hands after I touch someone, like getting rid of the energy that I might have picked up for them. Another thing that my therapist teaches me to do when I'm ruminating over something during the day is I'll, turn my head in one direction and take an inhale. And in my mind, I will say something like, I'm letting go of my day so I can enjoy the rest of my night as I exhale. So
Mm.
it's inhale,
mm,
using whatever mantra thoughts that you want to release and releasing that purposely with the exhale, I find to be really helpful. I think that, just acknowledging, noticing, like, gosh, I'm thinking a lot about my day. That was hard. Maybe you want to write some things down in the immediate
yeah,
time, the moment. So, quick notes.
yeah.
If you don't have a lot of time, quick notes work well. If you want to journal and really write about it, that's a great way to regulate your nervous system. But just quick notes, like learning lessons of the day. And then a reminder, like, I'm not here to be perfect. I make my mistakes. I might think about this stuff later, but I'm just going to remind myself that I'm human.
Mm.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm going to work consistently to try and let that go because I really care about the rest of my day. I need rest. We need breaks, right? It's so easy for me, I'm sure you guys too, to just back to back your clients,
Yeah.
be as efficient as possible
Yeah.
and do everything you can to create like I need to make this much money today, therefore I need to see this many clients. And at the end, you find yourself totally drained. Was that success?
No.
No,
No.
that was working harder, not smarter.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Never. So for me, I find that after 3 clients, I need like a 15 to 30-minute break. No doubt about it. And if I'm running behind, I have the receptionist call the next few clients and let them know. 15 minutes anyone can deal with. So I always schedule in breaks. And during those breaks, I feed myself, I rehydrate, and then I do a little bit of mindful movements. Like doing 10 squats can completely turn your energetic position around. It can wake you up.
Mm,
It can release tension that you're holding in your body. Just any little bit of stretching is really helpful. I mean, when I worked in New York, I think I was on salary at the salon and I couldn't always get to something early in the morning with the commute. I kind of wrote it into my contract with the owners, like 3 days a week, I'm leaving at 6 p.m., whether you like it or not.
That.
I didn't say it that way, but that's kind of what it was. That was my boundary. I'm like, at 6 o'clock, I'm going 2 blocks away to do my yoga class. And if I don't do this, you're not going to appreciate who I am. I'm not going to be successful at my work. And I'm definitely not going to be supporting our team if I don't feel good. So having a list of non-negotiables for your self-care, I think is really important. It's like, I don't ever see therapy clients until I've been able to ground myself and my body and find some movement so I can let go of my own stuff. Like I can't expect other people to do the work if I'm not willing to do it as well. And for me, taking care of my body and my mental health is a mental health practice. Like I have to
Mm.
somehow exercise and move and just dump the load that I've been carrying, everybody else's energy that I've had to hold that day. Like I don't want the residue with me. And if you can't do anything else, take a nice hot shower or bath. Change the way your body physically feels. Let it
mm,
go.
I love that. I will say, since I started doing hair, I turned into a night shower rather than like a morning shower because I just get all the energy off of you, right? Like, get rid of that. I mean, obviously, some hair too, but like, get rid of all of that so I can just like do whatever I'm doing at night and be chill with that. Like, it does make sense.
And remind yourself what your priorities are. I want to wash the day off. Water is such a good way of releasing and washing away, right?
Mm.
And when you're taking that shower, it's like, okay, I want to show up for myself or I want to show up for my family. I want to have a little fun and relax and not let this day own me. I don't live in my client's prison. I live in my own space and I choose how I want to feel.
I love
Amazing.
that.
You spoke about this a little bit, but I wanted to just kind of retouch on it. Like, therapists have supervision and they also have training around these boundaries that you're able to do so well with. Like, listening to you talk about trying to redirect a client, like when they're telling you too much information, I'm like, oh, that's so brave. Could I say that? I don't know, right? In salons, it can feel like that expectation to just listen to everything. We'll get through it. It's 45 minutes, whatever, but then there's 10 of them, right? Like, what is that healthier middle ground? Like, if you're not willing to, I mean, I guess you have to be willing to have the conversation with the client, right?
You know, in the real world, I think a lot of people just don't want to have the conversation.
Yeah.
They'd rather avoid than approach. And I think what's important to remember is anxiety feeds off of that fear, right? Like
Mm,
fear something's going to go wrong. It's the uncertainty that drives us away from living in an authentic way, speaking our truth. We are afraid of what's going to happen. What are they going to say? What are they going to think about me? And our brains don't like uncertainty. Our brains like comfortable things that we can count on. So it makes sense that we don't want to have these
Mhm.
conversations. Like I can count on my day going smoother if I don't have this dust up with this client right now, right? I don't want to have that. Don't want to have that conflict. But I think one lesson I learned time and time again that I'm always kind of regurgitating to my clients is like they're afraid to try something new. We give them a small task and they start building on it. And when we find out what happens after they've tried it, is all of them, every single one says, it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. My mind worked up this huge story of what the possibilities, the catastrophizing, like going right to the worst case scenario. And therefore it holds us back. And therefore, we're not speaking our truth. We're not able to feel better about ourselves and the way we spend our day. And like something's off all the time. Like there's always this undercurrent of discomfort,
mm,
right? So just having the courage, practicing your script with somebody else is really helpful. I do that with clients all the time when they're going to speak up for themselves. They're going to establish a boundary with somebody and they're afraid. So we practice that script either with an empty chair or you can practice with a coworker at the salon in the break room when you have a second. Like, I want to say this to this client. Can I practice on you and you tell me what you think? And they might say, that was a little harsh.
yeah.
Or they might say, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Can I use it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you might want to start small. You might just want to redirect and see if it works. Redirect like, wow, thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate your trust in me. And then bump right into hair.
Great.
Right? Okay. So what I was thinking, right? So there's just not a lot going on there except the client might pick that up. Right. And you'll know if the client picks it up because you'll see a shift in them.
Hmm.
Body language is a really great cue. And body language tells us a lot. You can tell if somebody's uncomfortable, right? And you call it out. We call it immediacy in the counseling world. Like, I noticed you feel uncomfortable or your facial expression changed right there. Did you not like something about what I just did here? Maybe you don't want to open that can of worms, but it's there if you want it for the taking. And that can get people out of this avoiding rather than approaching the conversation bit as well. But keep it simple to start. If it still doesn't work, then it's appropriate to maybe have those tough conversations that you've practiced with somebody before. So it alleviates some of that anxiety that you might have before you say it. Like, I know what I'm going to say. I've practiced this before. I may get it a little wrong, but I know the gist of it and I'm going to trust that my brain knows what it's doing with it. And you deliver it and see what happens, right?
Great.
And whenever we express a boundary, we have to be aware that the person benefiting from us not having a boundary is likely going to get a little upset.
Mm.
Maybe not in a hair salon where there's a bunch of people around, but they might be upset quietly and then you might not hear from them for a while. So
Yeah.
maybe if it matters to you, you can check back in with them. Like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. The last time we spoke, we had a discussion about this. I just wanted you to know if you want to give me some feedback, I'm open to it and I care about what you think. If you actually care, because you might get something back that might be hard to hear.
That's fair.
And if you don't care about them, like then just chalk it up for what it is, a learning
Yeah.
experience, right? Like maybe my consultations have to be more thorough. Maybe I need to work on that tough conversation I had with them so it lands a little bit easier. Or I'm glad I spoke my truth. It sucks that they didn't like it, but I can't control how they react. That's theirs. This chair is mine.
That's fair. So, Gretchen, I wanted to ask you something that was really hard for me lately, but I think that a lot of stylists struggle with this. I tend to keep clients for a long time, and there are two clients in particular that I've known for almost 20 years. So, I met the woman first, and then when she met her now husband, when they were dating, and we went through all the life things. So, like, I did her hair for her wedding, was there when all the I mean, not in the room, but, like, was there when all their kids were born and have developed this really great relationship over these years. Unfortunately, recently, one of their kids actually passed away,
Mm.
and it was really sad because 'cause they're young, you know? I mean, it's sad always, but it was really sad, and I felt myself, even though I knew them so well, like, when they came back or I saw them on the books, and I literally my stomach dropped because I didn't know how to be of service to them at that moment when they came in. Like, we know them for so long, we've been through all these things with them. This is a very long-winded question, but, like, how do you manage that as a stylist? I'm here to cut your hair, but also, I know you really well, and I'm so sorry. Like, how does that work?
Wow, that is a really hard one. Learning how to hold space for someone and talk with them about something you're not even sure you should talk about with them, right? Like everyone tends to
Yeah.
be a little
Mm,
afraid to talk about death and the loss. Like, I don't want to remind them of their loss or make them feel bad. Maybe
mm,
they are tired of talking about it. And that can certainly be true. So what I like to do sometimes with clients is just to really let them sit down, watch them get comfortable and ask them, "What can I do for you today?" Mom or dad might say, "I just want to be quiet and just do your thing with my hair. I just need to rest." Or they might say,
right.
"I'm so tired of talking about my child. Please don't ask me." Right? Or maybe they say something else not along those lines and you feel like you might want to say something. You can say something and most people do want to talk about it depending on when it's happened and how far back it is. So my
Mm,
boyfriend recently lost his nephew and his
ugh,
mom recently came to visit us in Telluride for my partner's birthday. And we were all sitting out to dinner, and no one had said a word to them about this. They'd had many meetings before this after her son's death. But knowing what I know, having some time in the chair as a therapist, knowing that people do want to talk about it, I asked her at one point. I said, I'm curious what you miss most about Tyler." And, her face
wow.
lit up, and she said, "I miss his voice so much. I listen to his voicemail." And so we were able to just have a somewhat brief, short conversation about it, but I could tell, like, something changed between us. She was like, it felt like I was kind of in the inner circle, and we didn't know each other very well prior to this. A little different than your situation,
Mm,
Sarah, but, like, really
yeah,
paying attention to somebody and asking them what they need that day can go a long way. And then just being human, right? Like, that
yeah.
it would be devastating. You can say as much, like, "That must have been so awful. I can imagine. I'm so sorry. I just want you to know I've been thinking about you." And, if you feel at some point like I can do anything at all for you and your family, if that means like a home visit sometime or whatnot, like say it. Say what you'd like to say, but try not to walk on eggshells around them, right? They notice and it makes
Mm,
them feel more isolated. So, really just trying to be
mm.
present, listen, actively listen to them. You can hold your own boundaries while still validating someone. Again, just kind of repeating back in so many words what they've said to you, and then just honoring that.
That's great. That's great advice. And, like, what an amazing thing you did for that woman, you know? Like, I'm sure all the time she has to say how sad she is about losing her son, but to actually bring up a really great memory of her son with someone was probably amazing for her.
Well, yeah, and I didn't know her son. I had never met him. So I could have also asked, like, tell me about your son, right? What was he like?
Yeah.
What was he interested in? He was your firstborn. Like, your life totally changed when you had him. What were some lessons you learned from him? Like,
Mm,
grief, we feel it because we're missing someone, we're without them, we've lost. But we never
mm,
lose how they made us feel. if someone
Mm.
helps us be reminded of that. I love that animated movie Coco. It speaks a lot to
Yeah.
Mexican traditions. Like they always have photos of their loved ones around so they don't forget and they're reminded. And you're not their therapist, but if you've known them as long as you have, Sarah, you're kind of part of their extended family. So step into the role
Mm,
and do what feels right for you.
That's great advice.
I love that. I love that. So let's get in and talk about staying curious and staying inspired. Us as stylists, we can easily stay and get into ruts and use the same techniques and do the same haircuts over and over again. How do we balance mastery with keeping that spirit of practice alive?
Well, I think having self-reflection is pretty important. When you start to feel bored or burnt out a little bit, just kind of like, ugh, another day. I don't know if I'm going to get through this. I feel like I'm being drained by the very thing that I love the most, that I feel most passionate about. Like that's a sign, right? That you might need a little bit of a break. And there's so many
Mm,
different ways to stay inspired. But I think that taking a break or resting, taking an extra day off, going away on a vacation, whether it's short or long, is super important. Like I just always build in every 3 months now a week off. And I'm at the point in
Hmm.
my life where I can do that. I mean, I may be in a new career, but I'm just like, like that money I'm going to make that week is not going to make me feel better about myself or what I'm doing. It's going to make me more stressed out and more tired and feel more overwhelmed, which make all of the tools that we talked about today much harder for our brain to engage in. It's
yeah,
not a matter of like forcing yourself through it and grinding it. Like your brain isn't going to appreciate that and it's not going to be able to manage it. So taking a rest and a break is really important during that time of rest and break, or when you're working, like kind of pushing in some really unique opportunities for yourself to find inspiration in other areas of your life. Like as
Hmm.
hairdressers, we can always go take a class, which is really cool. At Ion, we had all of these amazing education programs that were so fun to see hairdressers come from all over the world, just kind of tapped out, bored, looking for something new. Like, yeah, those are amazing opportunities, but sometimes we don't have the time or the money, or we haven't found what we're looking for. In the meantime, what are we going to do? Well, why not go take a cooking class or a ceramics class or a writing class? Like finding a
I
new
love
group of
it.
people to create with and find something new in yourself just wakes up these parts of ourselves that have been there waiting for us to tap into the potency and being able to exercise a different part of your brain, because the reality is sometimes we're not going to have all of those amazing styles and cuts and colors to do. It's just like that's a rare client that's just going to let us do what we want to do. So finding it outside of your workplace just leads to you being a more cultivated, cultured, balanced person. And you might feel a little bit more satisfied than just always looking for your cup to be filled in just one place.
I love that.
I love that so
Another thing I
much.
forgot to mention that I think is something that
Mm.
I'm so glad you brought it up in the show outline, as this idea of beginner's mind. When I first started teaching yoga, it was my first kind of venture into meditation. And I was reading all these meditation books, kind of visiting different meditation classes, trying to tap into something new in myself. And Zen Buddhism came up with this idea. They practice this idea of beginner's mind. And their sayings go something like, a beginner's mind sees many possibilities, an expert's mind sees few. So if you look back
Mm.
on your life, maybe different jobs you've had or points in your career where you're kind of always just like, no, that's not going to work, or no, I don't like that. It was just a lot of no's and a lot of negative energy and you know better sort of thing. I don't like that. Those are clues to pay attention that you might be in that expert mind. I know everything. Nothing can permeate this idea of like, you know it all. And no one likes to be around to know it all, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
No.
Yeah.
a beginner's mind, we're always a student. We're always curious
Yes.
and open-minded and flexible, right? Not flexible of body necessarily, but like just mental health in general. Like we want flexible minds. You guys have probably run into people who are very critical, who are very particular, who never want to change anything. And no one, again, wants to be around them. Like there's no room for possibilities or growth there. If growth is the goal, like we want to improve, we want to strive for excellence, we need to be open to all the possibilities, which means we have to consistently check in and notice when we're like holding on, gripping tightly to expectations, whether of people or positions or careers. Like some of the coolest things that have happened to me have happened when I've been in my beginner's mind and I see other options that I didn't see before.
Mm.
And those were the ones that ended up serving me better and taking me in this whole new direction that I couldn't even imagine before because I was so stuck on the way I thought it should be done or the way I wanted it to end up. Those expectations, again, kill that creativity.
I love that. I know one of my favorite things to say right now is when you feel like stuck and you're communicating with somebody that is in that expert mind, my favorite thing to say is, what does that mean? What does that mean to everything? Because even though you know what it means, it like gets your brain, well, it gets my brain out of this cycle of know it all. And then you're open to hearing what people actually mean.
Instead of making assumptions like, oh, they meant this, like, why not just ask somebody, what did you mean by that? As
Yeah.
a therapist, we
Yeah.
like to say, tell me more about that, right? Like,
Oh, yes.
curiosity is an amazing, amazing tool for us in every part of our life. Like just being curious and wonder and awe, like those things are crushed by today's world. Social media, like very little wonder and awe in there, right? Everyone's just showing you what they are, who they are, what to believe, what to think, to like. It's like turn your phone off,
Yeah.
turn your notifications off, give yourself a timer when you're going to be on it and get out there in the world. Go put your feet in nature. Go look at the trees. Like,
Yeah.
how amazing are trees? Like, when a breeze blows through the leaves, it sounds so amazing. It makes you feel so grounded in your body. All of a sudden, you pay attention to things. Like, grounding yourself is a great way to get out of your expert mind and into your beginner mind. Grounding yourself can look like paying attention to your breath. It can look like journaling. It could look like listening to music. It could be moving your body in a very purposeful way, whether that be through yoga or stretching or dancing. Grounding yourself can look like something very quick and easy in the moment when you notice like you're having a hard time focusing or you're ruminating or you're thinking too much, overthinking. And a really easy one to remember is the three threes, right? So you're tuning into your senses, which is really going to bring you in the moment. One of them is pick three things you can see. So pick three things you can see, whether you're in a room or outside. And then you pick three things that you can hear. So see and hear. And the next one is pick three things you can smell, right? So it's just a little triangle on your head. Hear, see, smell, right? And immediately that just kind of brings you into this present moment and out of the overthinking. Thinking less and feeling more is the key to living an authentic life. I say it all the time in my yoga classes, like, quit thinking about this. I want you to feel it more. And that takes practice, right? That consistency
Oh,
is what we're
Yeah.
looking for. Sans criticism.
love it.
Oh, so good. I love this. The triangle, like, oh, this is so good. Another great guest, Sarah Jane. Another one. Well,
Another great.
before I know, right? Before we wrap up though, I wanted to ask you, we've started a new tradition here at HairSmarter. Each guest answers a question left from our previous guest. And then you'll leave a question for the next one without knowing who they are.
All right. So our last guest, Dr. Gabrielle Rapolt Schlickman, left this question for you. What's one mistake you made early on in your career that you feel grateful for now?
Well, historically, I tend to be impulsive. It's something that I'm working on. But when it's come to my career, I always trust my gut. And when I first started this idea of becoming a counselor, I did some research and I liked looking for information and talking to people, but I didn't go balls to the wall on it. I didn't find out every single answer that I needed to know. And if I would have, I probably wouldn't have done it because it was an overwhelming amount of stuff that I was going to have to do. And I would have probably found a way to like, oh, this is not a good time, or maybe I'll do that later, or that sounds crazy. I don't want to do that. I mean, a lot of the things that I have to do to work, I have to travel for now. And had I really known the full scope of that when I was looking into it, I probably would have been like, oh, I can't do that. My life doesn't work that way. And instead, I trusted what I always trust is that I always figure it out. So following your
Mm.
instincts in your gut without too much validating information for me has been helpful. I mean, that's when I left New York, I just knew I had to leave. I had a lot of things working against me, and I was doing a lot of meditation at the time. And in my meditations, it was just like, you'll figure it out. You got to do this. And I moved to Mexico without speaking a lick of Spanish or knowing anybody, just armed with like my
Wow.
yoga teaching experience. And I met my boyfriend there. I got my dog there. I ended up kind of building this mindfulness entrepreneurial practice that brought me to Telluride, where I use that in programs with people in the community during a really scary time during the pandemic. And it made me realize like this is what I'm meant to do right now at this point in my life. So we don't always need
Wow.
all the answers. The uncertainty will support us sometimes, but trust your gut.
Love it. I love
Love
that.
it. Yeah,
All right.
the
So
best.
now it's your turn. What's the one question you'd like to leave for one of our next guests or
This
our
is
next
such a
guest?
little great ritual that you have. I love it. It's a really cool way to
Thank
connect
you.
people and get people thinking. And you guys have done so well today. You've made me feel so calm and relaxed. I love it. Like, this is what I was thinking
Yay.
about when I was looking in the mirror. Like, just focus on what might happen, what could happen. Get curious because it's so much easier than I thought it was going to be. But here we go. Here's my
Always is,
question.
Good,
right?
good.
Yeah, it was what I was talking about earlier. It's never as scary as you think it's going to be. All right, here's
No.
my question for your next guest. Looking back, what habits or values have been most beneficial in your professional journey?
Ooh, that is a good one.
I love that. I love
And
it.
Cool.
so, we'll carry that forward. And listeners, you'll hear the answer when we have our next guest on. So that is exciting.
And Gretchen, thank you so much for reminding us that we are more than just the hair that we do, and it's our humanity that makes us better stylists.
So
Yes,
true.
yes. And stylists, if this resonated, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, share this episode, but most importantly, talk about it with your team.
And as always, stay
Stay
curious, stay
curious, stay
grounded, and
grounded, and
stay
stay
hair
hair
smarter.
smarter. Thank you, Gretchen.
You're welcome. Bye, guys. Take care.
Thank
Bye. Thank
you.
you.